Attachment theory played an important role in what I see as a revolution in developmental psychology, because the breakdown of old drive theories and classical learning theories, which we came to understand were inadequate, but we didn't have something to replace them with. The idea was you would be attached to your mother because she fed you, and because of the reinforcing from feeding, you'd be attached to her. But this is a completely different way of looking at it. And it also led people to see that if you want to understand the connections between experience at one age and what children are like later, you have to look at things very complexly. You can't measure, for example, how dependent is a baby on its mother. They're all dependent. If you want to predict who will be excessively dependent later, you have to look at the particular nature of their relationships with their caregivers, not simply look at how much they need them, because they all need them. Attachment theory led the way both to showing that there is continuity in development and to showing how complex it is. There are a number of longitudinal studies that draw upon attachment theory. Mary Main's work in Berkeley has a longitudinal component. The Grossmans in Germany have a longitudinal study, and there are a number of others. Our study is distinctive in that we began so early, namely pre-birth. We did such comprehensive assessments, and not just of attachment, but temperament, cognitive development, language development, peer relationships. And we've studied them so long. And to really appreciate the value of attachment, you need to see it in the context of the overall developmental picture. So we certainly find that peer relationships are important to children's development. But that doesn't mean peer relationships are important and attachment experiences aren't. To the contrary, if you have assessments of attachment and assessments of peer relationships, you can predict much more strongly than if you had just one of those. And moreover, the attachment assessments allow you to predict how well the child will get along with peers and what they'll draw from them. Similarly, they let you predict how well children will get along with teachers. There are thousands of interesting findings in our study, but two or three that I think are especially intriguing. One concerns, since we're able to look both at peer influences and at parenting influences, we're able to consider things like, do peers have influences on some kinds of things more than parents, and parents have maybe influences on some kinds of things more than peers? To give you one particular example, we're now looking at the romantic relationships of our young adults. And what we find is that parenting history, especially the quality of early attachment experiences, predict things like the capacity for intimacy that the individuals bring to the relationship and the capacity to deal with emotions in the relationship. Whereas our peer measures actually predict better than attachment to how well these individuals negotiate conflict in their interactions. So negotiating conflict and resolving a conflict through interaction is something that you may gain a great deal of background for in your peer relationships, even though your parent relationships have set that up by giving you a fundamental belief in the importance of being connected with others and a capacity for trust and a comfort with intimacy and emotion in relationships.